There we go.
All right, welcome to the planning and zoning meeting. We are going to call this to order at 5:30 p.m. on the 22nd of April, 2024. Have you paid everybody? City Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
We have a quorum. Are there any public comments before we get started? You're limited to 3 minutes, and no one here on the commission can respond. Any public comments? I see no public comments. Now we're going to do some public hearings. Once again, 3 minutes. No one can respond on the commission. I'll mark the time. Public hearing A. City Secretary, do you want to read that?
Yes. Public hearing A is to obtain citizen views and comments regarding rezone application 2024-04-01. A rezoning application to allow the applicant Vicky R. Vega to establish a taxidermy cleaning service at the subject property. The property in question is located at 1702 East Avenue H and is legally described as Thomas Derrick Edition, Block 20, lots 3 through 11, lots 15 through 20, and lots 21 and 22. Located in Alpine, Brewster County, Texas, as the same appears in the map or plat records on file in the office of the County Clerk of Brewster County, Texas. The property ID of the subject property is 12816. The record property owner is Vicky R. Vega. The current zoning of the property is R4 Mobile Home District. The zoning classification, if the rezoning is approved, will be C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Any comments? No public comment on that. City Secretary, do you want to read B?
Thank you. Item B is to obtain it's a public hearing to obtain citizen views and comments regarding rezone application 2024-04-02. A rezoning application to allow the applicant Melinda Vega to establish an art studio at the subject property. The property in question is located at 601 South Walker Street and is legally described as lots number 3, 4, and 5, Block 49, Hancock Edition, south of the railroad, to the city of Alpine, Brewster County, Texas. The property ID of the subject property is 10842. The record property owner is Melinda Vega. The current zoning of the property is R4 Mobile Home District. The zoning classification, if the rezoning is approved, will be C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Any public comments on that? Time 5:32. No public comments. Next, we're going to move to the approval of the minutes of the previous board meeting. Everybody read the minutes?
Yes.
Everybody vote? Approve them?
May I ask a question?
You may ask questions.
Okay, again, this is procedural, and I'm new at this. So in the previous meetings, I brought up two things. One was possibly addressing the dangerous buildings ordinances. The second one was the signs ordinances. I didn't see anything about that in the council meeting. So if we bring it up for discussion here, then this is where it comes to die for discussion.
Yes, unless the commissioner actively places and pursues the item on an agenda. So y'all did discuss it, but no one told me to re-add it. No one gave me any backup documentation.
And that's my learning process. All right, thank you.
No problem.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I say that.
Everybody vote aye?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Next is discussion item, discuss proposed change to schedule of districts and zoning designations, including amending R4 mobile home district to include options for mobile home parks, updating commercial zone, for one unified zone. Mr. Laxton, you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, just as a quick overview, after the last meeting, what was a little bit confusing was that R4 was mobile home district, but it didn't include mobile home parks. And so I wanted to open up for discussion, the opportunity to take R4 and update it so that it does include mobile home parks, take them out of C, let me make sure I have this right, C1A, and merge them into R4. And then, of course, basically condense R4, C1, C1A, C2, I think there's a C2A, but we're not real sure yet. We're trying to figure that one out. CO, not CO, leave that one. into, basically an R4 or a C1. So if you look at, for example, this is a good example. Try to find the notes here. C2, C1A, C1A, yeah. C1A, the only difference between C1 and C1A is that C1A includes manufactured housing, manufactured housing park, and recreational vehicle parks. It's actually on page 8 of 16 of your ordinances. And then it has R4, mobile home districts. Which doesn't make sense to me. Why do we even have C1A? Because if you look at C1A and C1, there's a difference, those two. So we should take those and work them into R4, in my opinion. And find a way to take commercial completely away from, mobile home. Recreational RVs, now I think should be C1, okay? I don't think they should be in R4. Because those are considered a commercial, but most of the time we have a mobile home park, it's R4, it's family oriented, okay? So why not just take out the, and I actually make quite a few notes, which isn't necessarily tonight to go through. But I'd also sort of recommended taking, office services district and taking the CO off of it. It's gonna stay the same. But people seem to, in your neighborhoods and you wanna go office, you know, like we just had an issue over on, Sol Ross. And you just changed office complex or to business office, instead of CO, commercial office, make it business office. Just change the name, it's just a name change. And I think that makes it more, neighborhood friendly. Because when you put commercial in front of anything, you're talking the residential area, the neighborhood seems to freak out a little bit. And so I just think that might make it a little bit easier.
Simplified.
Yeah, simplify things. So basically it's condensing C1, keeping C1 and condensing C1A. And, I think we can also take C2 if we needed to and move it into C1. And then take the portions that apply and should be, you know, applicable based on even what, Jessica was talking about before. We're looking at the possibility of someone coming into the area and wanting to do, smaller homes. That R1 doesn't call for that. So maybe we can find a way to add, I don't know what to call, what do you call,
Tiny homes.
Condominiums. And it would be better, I think, if you had the tiny homes maybe, incorporated into the R4s. So that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I love the ideas. I think we need to sit down and look at this, and of course, have some meetings about it. Does anybody have any comments right now? Okay.
First off, I want to make a motion that we put this on the agenda for city council. But then I also would like that. No.
Well, the tours.
Okay.
We don't discuss it.
Well, okay. Then, agree with everything you said, but we had a discussion last month about rules or no rules. So.
And that would be part of the discussion that we need to
Okay,
take
and the tiny.
and find out, you
The
know.
only other category that's come up recently is called container homes. Where they're taking.
And that's part, I've addressed that into the R4.
They fit at the time.
Okay, all right.
Just, but this will be a future discussion item that we need to discuss, and we need to come up with ideas on, how to make our recommendations to the city council. And, we're not ready to make a motion.
So today, we don't need them to tell us to go start making changes.
So if they do, that's different.
We lay it down and then ask them if they'd like to change it. Normally it's how it goes, and then they tell us yes or no. But, just people about you want to say something.
No, I'm just listening to you guys. I do want to clarify some of the zoning. So in the zoning ordinance, There's typically, residential, commercial, agricultural, and industrial. We don't really have any agricultural zoning inside city limits.
Then maybe we need to add something like that. I don't disagree with that.
As far as the commercial zoning goes, you have to think about it as layers. So we have different and that's why they were probably developed in the first place. So C2 is designated for business, high density, like dollar stores and things like that, that you have heavier traffic flow. C1 is designed for neighborhood commercial. It's limited to what you can put in there. So I really would recommend you guys looking at what has already been, why they're there and where they're located on the map and why they're located on that map. When it comes to C0, I don't think it's utilized enough. I do think that it's considered something that's more a buffer between commercial and residential, and it's lower traffic with things. So they were designed for a reason. I do think that they need to be implemented. I really do suggest you really read why they were put into place. There are, like, the only one that I would say that needs to be removed is the C2A because it doesn't exist.
All I see on C1A though is allowing the spot, I mean, you got your deal tonight for the spot, and that's what's opened up that whole can
I
of
do-
worms, and I want to get away from the spot zoning.
I do want to disagree that, manufactured housing communities are considered commercial, they are not considered residential. And the dynamic that you're looking at for like long-term is not a pretty picture, in my opinion, to have, you know, if you think about R1 is designed for a single-family residential, so that's a nicer house in Carpenter Edition or something. If you look at our zoning map, you have R4 buffered right up against R1, so you're talking about allowing manufactured housing communities to be buffered up against that. So the dynamic that you're looking for, I really think is gonna change the way this city of Alpine is going to look. That's why C1A was designed, so that it can only be in certain areas, and it's typically, if you look at our map, it's against, commercial zones that already exist. So I don't really think that it's a good idea to
Don't
put
we
it
have
in
a new
residential.
zoning map coming down though, Gio, and Megan's not here tonight to address that.
It would be more of like a clarification of what we've already had, since the one that I sent you recently was from 2013.
Correct.
It doesn't include any of the ones past that, so it would just be this with the amendments that have happened since 2013.
So, looking at what you're saying and understanding what you're trying to convey, I can see where you're going with it.
I mean,
With-
I drove through neighborhoods this week that are listed as R4, and obviously are.
I look at it and I shake my head, and I'm like, why is this not forward?
So in the R4, so if you read the ordinance, R4, if you look at it, I don't know what page it's on, but you can build an R1 or R2 in an R4. So you have more options for housing. So if I was to buy a piece of property in R4, you can put a manufactured home in there. However, if you don't want to put a manufactured home there, you have the option to go by the R1 regulations or the R2. So you can put a duplex or a single family house in an R4. And so if you came to me and you said you wanted to build a house from the ground up in an R4, you can. However, if you don't have the income to build a house from the ground up in an R4, you can put a manufactured home there.
Yes,
You
but
cannot
some
put a
of these
manufactured home in
R4
R1.
Had no mobile homes at all. They were pure houses.
Yeah, so with that being said, with the zoning map that's being updated right now, in our future growth plan, which we call the comprehensive plan, which we do not have in existence right now. We could change that so that our goal is to have more R1 housing than R4. I honestly think putting commercial manufactured housing inside of residential designed for single family housing is a horrible idea. My personal opinion, I just think if you're gonna change the way that it looks,
From the distinction between manufactured housing setting on wheels versus modular development.
Then that's my point.
so modular is considered by code as a single family house.
Right.
So,
As long as it's not on blocks, so the whole district is mentioned.
so it's clear we need more discussion on this, but we all, agree that there needs to be some changes. And maybe what we need to do is get our hands on the current map and look at it next to the districts and what we have, and then decide, okay, is this where we need to go, or is this where we need to go? But we all agree, and I feel that we have way too much out there, and it opens up cans of worms for too many opportunities, and we really need to rein that in more. And I think we can come to, an agreement on it. We just need to see that map and have some more discussion.
Yeah, there's definitely edits that need to be made. We found some things, discrepancies that don't compared to the code, so between,
they're all over.
just with the parking regulations, in our ordinance, it shows in R1 that you only need one off-street parking, but by our code that we adopted, the ICC code, you need two, so.
Yeah, I
that's something
noticed
we need
that
to-
in this, it's
Okay.
like,
So
wait,
there are things that need to be updated for sure,
What would be the process of updating that? We'll wait till the new maps comes in?
I think we need to
Got
see
that
it
done?
in there before we go through.
Yeah, we could contribute.
Mhm.
we can't do a comprehensive plan, so we can't do a future growth plan without an updated map, so that's why we're
Right,
waiting.
exactly.
And I know they're working, so.
And so that, then we can go in and maybe designate, okay, this district C1, this can go R4, you know what I'm saying? And then, because there's neighborhoods that don't want R4 right next to their, you know, R5.
I have a question. So according to what you said, the CI, the 1A was implemented because they don't want it to make the manufactured houses with the commercials. How long has been implemented, the 1A? Long ago, is something new?
So.
C1A is fairly new.
Created stuff until 13.
Well, 1323.
No, that's the date that,
That's
that's,
David. Yeah.
No, that's what it was. I have to look back, I looked at it, but,
So it's been a couple of years or? It's been a long
it's been a
time?
long time since we created the zoning. Yeah, the zoning does need to be updated, as far as the different types of zoning and what needs to be changed in it, but I don't. My only thing is I don't think that manufactured housing communities, so like, manufactured park should be set inside of a residential area. I think this should
Well,
be.
I didn't say set it aside of R1, I said, but we need to designate if it's a mobile home community, as an R4 community.
Yeah, my question is, it was a need in the city that they got implemented this, or was a decision for the previously planning and zoning commissioner? That's my question.
No, we're just advisors, so, that was.
But I'm talking about C1A, but it was implemented there. They have pretty much the same except
Yeah.
manufactured.
So there's not very many places you can put a manufactured housing community right now. So it's like Reva's Trailer Park is one of them. Where's Pecan Grove is an RV park that's inside city.
Now, there's a difference between a mobile home park and an RV park, okay? And those are not to be.
Those are only
thrown
allowed
together.
in that same
Right.
zone though.
RV parks should be C1. I really feel that way. But mobile home parks are residential communities. And so I want those two
Right, but,
separate.
The property itself, though, is owned by a single owner and it's a commercial establishment. So you might own the trailer, but you don't own the lot. So like, for instance, I own the lot, right, or the whole park, and you're gonna pay me a lot fee every month to have your trailer there.
And you live there permanently.
Right, but you're gonna be paying a lot fee the entire time you're there. And so it's a commercial, it's a business, and that's why it's in a C1A, and if you look at.
Then why
our-
wouldn't we put apartments and duplexes in C1, because there are two and R3. And I'm paying rent each month for something like that.
Right, but
I'm sorry.
May I interject something? We've addressed actually working it. And I think we should
I-
agree that we're gonna work it and save this discussion for a working session.
Thank you.
You brought something up that I really want to drill down. If I may, excuse me, you said we really need to look at the rationale and the thought process that led to these ordinances. Do those documents exist? Is
Yeah.
there addendums and things, revisions and things that? this is happening?
probably not anything in detail other than the actual ordinance itself, because legally, you know, we have to keep the minutes that it was approved and a copy of the ordinance, so probably not too much context more than that.
Okay, see, we all have a different mindset. And my mindset is based on my life experiences. Matt's are gonna be different, yours are gonna be different. So I'd like, if there is a way to get back to the common ground of where this all started, so we all know what happened before, I think we can do a better job of going forward, rather than, if we don't know what happened before, we're gonna reinvent all of that stuff. So, but that's just my point.
Yeah, I went through 13 years worth of city minutes, to come up, help update the new map. So that's one of the things we are waiting on.
Okay, so then I move that we move on.
Well, you don't need. Discussion item. Discussion item. So, we're not on action items yet.
Have you seen the existing map that it's in process, the city council has approved?
No,
4 years ago.
it's being worked on by a different company, right?
It's by the Rio Grande Council of Government, so another government agency is helping us.
Yeah, that's me. You're right, so that's actually me.
Go ahead and
I'm the one
introduce
that's
yourself.
working on that.
Go ahead.
My name is Casey Meritori. I am the #1 GIS coordinator with the Rio Grande Council of Governments. I was tasked with this a few months back. And all of those ordinances and meeting minutes and all of that, I've gone through it myself at this point. Currently, any updating that needs to happen has been done right now on that map. So I've already sent the PDF of that map over to Ms. Andrew, as well as a blank parcel map. So you guys have a parcel map of the city of Alpine that you can then go in with your art project and figure things out. So we're still working on that because it's gonna depend on what the official decisions are here as to whether or not that map is accurate, right? Because I mean, I could go through, what I'm provided with, but really at the end of the day, it's gonna be your decision on what is what in
That's
that.
fantastic news.
Yes.
Yeah.
When did you send it over? Well, it's been several months back now at this point, so, and I don't have anything with me because I thought I was meeting earlier, so, but we do have that, I have my laptop with me, as a matter of fact, if anybody wants to take a look at it right now.
That is a question I have. I've said it before a number of times. I'll keep saying it. I don't get a good answer, I guess, or y'all can just tell me to shut it up. But we're talking about, real estate, we're talking about property and an aerial extent of things. We're not even looking at it. I don't care personally if the map is not exactly accurate and the city council hasn't looked at it or approved it. At least we get some spatial concept of what's going on. Right now, we're just looking at text. And I think we could do better than that. Not tomorrow or next month, but I mean now. We already got it. She's been working hard on it.
We do have a zoning map we've been working on with since before they started. It's as accurate as they're gonna get, yeah.
No, okay, then why, if it's more accurate than what she's working on?
No, I said it's as accurate as it would be, that's what we can get to right now. It's what we've been working on.
Okay, well, why don't we look at that?
It's online, it's posted
I
online.
mean, no, you're not getting. Why isn't
It's
that?
not-
You can make a request and going forward, I can make sure to have a
Yeah, but
copy,
it's
but
not-
nobody's requested that before now.
You're saying is.
I think we should.
One that I-
Okay.
We're dealing with planning, which deals with areas of geography.
Okay, point of
And we're
order.
not looking at, and we're not looking at geography.
Who has the floor, Chairman?
I'll take the floor.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, we're getting too many people talking over everybody else.
I've been asking this for so long and I keep skipping.
Okay,
Okay,
may I,
Sergeant,
may I ask a question?
Yes.
Geo, if she has a map, but council hasn't approved it yet, is it okay for zoning and planning to look at that map? Or does it need to go to council first?
I mean, I'd say they can see it. Megan, might have had plans for that. I'm not too sure. I haven't talked to her about it, but, I think, we can get a copy. I don't see the problem with them viewing.
Can you send that
Will
copy?
it be from the bins?
Geo.
It is.
You'll have that available so he can make it available to.
Yes, and I've already printed the map as well. Megan does have copies of the map in her possession. So there's physical and PDF. And as a matter of fact, I can email that PDF to absolutely anybody we need to have those discussions.
I think we should have it.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
I
like,
think it would really help you guys.
I like the idea of
to see it.
having a map and then be able to look at it, so we can get,
She know.
Yeah, even if it's not.
She can email it to me and I'll email it to
we can
everybody.
get to the next meeting.
I have your email.
Sure.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
She can email it to me and I can email it to
We will
everyone.
have to control,
Thank you.
we have to control distribution, otherwise we have rogue copies floating around everywhere, and they get out saying this one's accurate and this one's not.
This is not something to pass on to the public. This is
And-
something for us.
Just so you know, the tiling on this map so far, it says draft. It is not, because I also don't want to see that happen until it's a finalized, this is the map we all use. It's gonna say draft, not an official map until approved, you
That'd be a
know,
good working.
just to make sure. Yeah.
Working document.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So the reason that you can't pull it up tonight is because the Texas Open Meetings Act wasn't.
Okay, okay,
Correct.
fair enough.
It's not on the agenda.
Yes,
We can-
no
We
problem.
can look at it next time.
And, you know, I'm happy to present alongside with you guys. If you need those references, I could even attend from my office and put it up on your screens so that you can look at it. There's a lot of different ways that I can help you actually in your meetings to get these things done. And then a couple other points while I'm up here, if you don't mind. I need to know about these changes, you know, if I'm gonna be the one maintaining that data, let's keep it maintained instead of every 13 years backtracking and going through and making the changes, right? We'll be able to get on top of it now to a point where, okay, it's right. Let's keep it right and, you know, keep that coming. Another thing I've noticed by going through the minutes, the ordinances, things like that, using addressing in these conversations can be tricky. Not all of the addresses that are on the appraisal district or that people think is their address is actually their 911 address. Some of those that I went through over the last 13 years, the only information on it was an address, and that address was wrong. I was not able to locate the official location because an address was used that was not correct. So if I would recommend, if you are going to use addressing as an identifier for these locations, maybe go ahead and get a letter from me, something like that, so that you know for sure this is actually the address for this location. Some of our legal descriptions are lacking, you know, things like that. It was just a little bit sloppy a couple of times, right? But it's something that if we're aware of it moving forward, we can type that up and make it a lot easier for the people 20 years from now trying to understand what the heck we did, you know, and it'll be a little bit clearer to them, so.
Also, all the new addresses are as of 9/11 too. So that
Absolutely.
Everything.
Yes, yes, and we work pretty hard on making sure those are accurate and going through and getting that point across.
All right, really appreciate that.
Of course, thank you. Of course, if y'all need anything from me, please involve me. I'd love to help you guys in presenting. Casey, Casey, yes, ma'am.
Are you Ty's sister?
No, I'm not.
No, okay.
Anything else on that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's enough for item A, discussion item A. It is 5:58, let's start with B, discuss the status of zoning map, we got to already started that one, and the next steps, make it happen, it's not here, but. Anybody here from the city want to talk about that?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of anybody else presenting, so I think we should skip over that.
Okay, now, we are moving on to action items. Action item A, approve recommendation for the city council with success in the rezone application 2024-0401, a rezoning application to allow the applicant, Vicky R. Vega, to establish a taxidermy cleaning service at the subject property. The property in question is located at 1702 East Avenue H and is legally described as common area condition, block 20, block 311, block 15-20, and block 21-22, located in Alpine, Volusia County, Texas. That the same appears in the map of the file records on file with the office of the county clerk of Volusia County, Texas. That's 1 sentence. The property ID of the subject property is 12816. The record property owner is Vicky R. Vega. The current rezoning property is R4 Mobile Home District. The zoning classification, if the rezoning is approved, would be C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. That is the action item. Let's see, is there anybody here in the audience that wants to talk?
Need a motion and a second.
Okay, to talk about this item, we need a motion. Does want to make a motion? Second, I'll second.
And just to confirm, that was a motion to approve, right?
Motion to approve, and now we can discuss.
So our ordinance actually required that it be an affirmative motion, and if the commission does not want to approve it, you would vote against it.
One of the issues we need to discuss it before we.
Yes, now
We
discussion.
can't talk about it.
I'm just pointing out the fact that per procedure, that's how the ordinance written, is you make a motion to approve, it's seconded, now the discussion can take place.
So now we can discuss it. Is there anybody present in the audience that is representing this request?
I agree.
Okay, come on, forward, please, identify yourself.
My name is Crystal Luzon.
Can you speak in the microphone?
I'm
And,
sorry.
and you as well, thank you.
Here's the microphone.
This is not on.
It is on.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Crystal Luzon. My name's actually on the property as well. I'm not sure what were you wanting me to,
Well, what is a city, or cleaning, a taxidermy cleaning service?
so
What do
we
you do?
just do European mounts. And we have reached out to I don't know what. Code enforcement. Cause we are willing to put in the appropriate drain and whatever needs to be done, we just haven't done it because we didn't know that it had been taken out of, a commercial property. Nobody ever notified us of that. So, but really, we just do, European mounts, which we whiten.
Explain European.
So we just get the actual head of like if you kill a deer or, you know, like an animal, we get the head, we just clean off the head and we whiten it and ship.
So you do bone now.
Yeah.
But if you get it, it's got meat on it.
Very little, what do you call them? Sorry, my husband was supposed to be here, he had to work. The guys that bring them in, they usually clean them off pretty well for us. And so then we boil it at that point and then we clean it off.
When you say taking out, I mean, it used to be commercial before?
Yes.
How
And
long ago?
no one ever notified us that it had been changed.
How long ago?
That property you're talking about was commercial?
Yeah.
That property has never been, that I can see.
It has, I have the paper.
In 1994, her family member came before the council and they requested it be changed to commercial, and the council by simple resolution did approve that. Even though technically it should have been done by ordinance, but that's its own issue.
So it was changed to residential.
It was by simple resolution.
Looking at that property, that's residential?
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So my question is, why would it have gone to R4 if it was C1 previously?
I have no idea. When I asked that question, no one could answer.
According to our records, in 2013, the city council approved the current zoning map, at which point it was just designated R4. I mean, aside from that, and you know, again, to her point, it wasn't done correctly. It really wasn't done correctly to begin with, to change it to commercial either. But yeah, in 2013, that's the map that was approved, and that's what we have to go off.
Okay, I think you answered my question in the birth.
Gio, just to clarify, because that was not done correctly, is it legal or is it not legally commercial?
Well, I mean, it wasn't changed legally to begin with, okay, because it needs to be done by ordinance, which is required by our charter. And then, you know, it being approved in the zoning map, just changing it, if that's what changed it, then if that's all we could find for that address and that property, we couldn't find any other indications other than the 1994 zoning change by resolution. So in 2013, when they adopted the current zoning map, you know, it wouldn't have been done correctly either, you know.
Here's the problem with that right now then. That is zoned as R4. All around it is R4. That spot zoning, that's illegal in Texas. We cannot do that. We cannot, that spot zoning. Yeah, exactly. So that would be spot zoning.
Gio, what was it designated as in 1994 before the resolution?
It was some type of commercial, I believe. I could take a look, while y'all continue the discussion and let you know when I find.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Know that, has it always been inside the city limits, or was at some point, was it annexed? Because all properties that get annexed usually get annexed as R4. There was also a topic of discussion.
Oh, it's,
Our-
this is our one.
R1.
Um,
Well, so the reason that we had discussion is because there were complaints from residents of spraying carcass into the streets. We responded immediately to that and stopped it, which I did add my entire file. Where they were pressure washing it into the streets and the residents and they're breeding flies, they are dumping carcass into the residential dumpsters. There
And I
is,
think
excuse me, let me speak, please. The entire perimeter of this place, because they're pressure washing inside that quote unquote business, they're leaving standing water with carcass just all around the perimeter. It is 100% a health hazard to every single resident there. And I cannot express and recommend that this not be allowed, as well as our discussion not to be the dead horse about spot zoning, you know, but it is illegal, and the determining factors of determining whether it's rezoning is spot zoning. I printed on the page for you guys, and it is 100% spot zoning, and it is gonna highly affect the residents in that area who have already complained. Yes, ma'am.
Isn't there a new park going in about a block from there?
Yeah.
It's,
Brand new
yeah,
park.
I'm sure more than a block,
Yeah,
but yes.
exactly. And that's for that neighborhood. It's a neighborhood park. It's like, you can go along and hit it from the windows.
Right now, that is a residential zone.
It is residential.
And just to circle back to that question, it was previously R4. And the minutes do reference some discussion on the size of the lots and the surrounding of these lots being zoned residential. There was no opposition on the request. Planning and Zoning Commission met on October 24th, 1994, and recommended approval of the zoning change. There were 16 certified letters sent within the 200 feet of surrounding property. So that's really about it.
We have to deal with what we have right now. And
So to be clear, prior to the C1, it was R4. And then in 1994, it was moved to C1 for whatever reason, however it was moved.
Not officially.
Not officially. And so then, at what point did they send out the letters moving it back to R4 when you said that?
No, we weren't able to find that that was ever done.
it's our board.
I have a question. Are you going to do something different that place that we already have, that they do the same thing?
Something different,
Taxidermy.
Taxidermy, taxidermy.
the one that we have in town. So we do, I mean, they do like the full, they actually process meat and then they also do like the full mounts. We do nothing but European mounts.
What chemical do you
Soap and water, and then we do use, a bleach to bleach the bone, but that's it. We don't use like any hard chemicals.
Do you need a lot of water for that process?
Yes, but I pay water.
So when the heads come in, they could also have bugs and insects and things attached to that, the meat that's left on them,
We have a walk-in freezer, yes.
I've also attached a health and safety code
and I'm concerned with that about.
for you to review. That basically their entire business would be violating the health and safety code of Texas.
To my understanding, Megan said that she had spoke with Texas Parks and Wildlife and that they were in compliance as far as state level requirements.
Yeah, and we have had, 2 visits from the game wardens that had actually said they could write us a letter saying that it was all clean. I mean, there was no issues with anything that we were doing.
Could I make one more point too, back to the
But with that saying really quickly, I was gonna mention that we do also own that whole property, so there's really nobody other than in front of us. We have talked to those people and they were okay. I mean, we told them they could show up here if they had an issue with it. They said they were fine as long as we got everything situated with no.
Our scheduled district doesn't list taxidermy anywhere, right, period.
Yeah, that probably needs to be there.
And I was gonna also bring that up because she mentioned that they had taken our dumpsters, but when they did that, they did remove the dumpster from our property and they found one small bone. And then we were notified by the city that there's one place here in Alpine that discards the carcasses correctly, which we don't really discard the whole carcass. But they told us the only place in Alpine that does it correctly is the RAF, so I'm not sure what anyone else is doing different than. I mean, there's another taxidermy, so I don't know how they're getting away with it.
What is that taxidermy zone?
Yeah, but,
It's commercial. Yeah, and they have no residence problem whatsoever, they don't.
Actually, they're in just a,
They're out.
commercial district, right?
Yeah, and initially when we were at, we asked them what the difference was, they told us they were outside of city limits. And then we had to take it upon ourselves to look into it. And they are in city limits, but they are commercial.
They're a commercial district.
May I just interject something? For you, to benefit you. If I were you, I would get a letter from the utility district before I get too very far into this, because if they deny you wastewater access, you may not have a business. And there's been several businesses that they've denied because of chemicals, because of the things. The treatment in the waste involves bacteria and other things that leach. Other things could be detrimental to our wastewater treatment.
Which, like I said, we could talk to, is it Ronnie? David, about putting in the proper drain and everything. We were gonna move forward with it, and then it's on hold, so.
I would get the letter.
Yeah.
I'm really recommending.
You agree with that.
The thing I want to point out is the spot zone.
I don't,
You have to meet the 4 criteria
I
of
think-
spot zone. You have to meet all 4 of them, not just one, but all 4.
once again, going back to the spot zoning, I don't think that we can recommend approval of this. For multiple reasons, and I think if you've got those letters and reapply and have second one from Parks and Wildlife and the whole bit, right now you haven't spent much money and put in the drains and all that kind of stuff, but, I am going to make a motion.
Oh, there's already a motion on the table to approve. So, if the commission would like to, you would vote for it if you want to approve the zoning change, and then against it if you want to disapprove.
So I'm gonna recommend that we vote on this and vote against it. I'm gonna vote against it.
No, you have to say, all in favor, please raise your right hand. If you want this to go through. If you don't want it to go through, then after that, you say, all who oppose, raise your right hand.
All in favor of this? Raise your right hand. All opposed? Raise your right hand. Opposition unanimous. Okay, I'm gonna recommend before we move on to item B, take a little break. Time is 6:14.
That's so pretty.
Hi, how are you? No, that's it.
I guess.
So, as soon as it starts back up, we're gonna be talking about it.
No, because I wanted to see exactly what you.
Did you want to make a comment? You don't have to. Did you already sent the letter?
Yes.
I shared it. It's just really important that they let us know. In writing is the best. They sign it? Are these all neighbors? Okay. Is this for me? Okay, I'll send it. I'll let them know, and then I'll send it to the city council. Because whatever happens, even if they vote against it, the city council can still approve it. But if we vote against it here, it's gonna require supermajority, which would mean 4 of them would have to vote in favor in order to pass it, which is higher than it. If they deny it here.
And read that last one.
Okay. So Raul Quiñones, Gloria Garcia, and then Jesse Lara and Sergio Gomez. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
They did. For that. People wanted to do those things and just because. I just ended up on, things, I just was like, my first meeting, not done it before, I've done some. But when you read like the actual schedule of districts and things like that, so I think we were all so confused about the last meeting, you said, I'm I'll do this better than Mark, I presented, but you know, I mean, it was like, you know, but I know. Yeah, but I was telling you that about Mark, when I'm 11, like in 12, not they created a lot of issues, so you guys figure out something. No, it just seems like we always run into little things like this right here, and then you have to figure them out just like that. But
We have to keep the big picture of the city.
Well, it's already our, if you wanna go visit. It's kind of. Makes sense to me, you know, so I don't know, because I'm just, yeah, it's a big step. And so, if you're up for the challenge, you have to sort of. Yeah, and so we've been, I think, they made me come in, C2A. And I'm like, show me, same color. And I'm looking. The one that they gave me has the most updated, and I'm like, and then
They said almost trying to rank the fire hose.
and they.
Except that.
Get rid of it. Every time.
Yeah, they just like stay when they make the changes, but see, all right. And not put that in our.
Last thing we're talking about.
That's about it. It doesn't make sense, because, so I'm open to a discussion, okay, you know, what's one meeting, let's figure it out.
Especially if we're gonna.
Exactly. If I'm getting a whole new map. Have a plan.
You know.
You think I look good in?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Hey, I promise there's a lot of meetings ahead for you. I only got her swearing.
She does.
No.
Yeah.
Where's Cat?
You get a cigarette after that. I can say I sympathize, although I've never smoked, but I could have used it.
Okay, we're gonna move on to, action item B. Approve a recommendation for the city council regarding rezone application zone 3.40402, a rezoning application to allow the applicant, Belinda Vega, to establish an art studio at the subject property. Property in question is located at 601 South Walker Street and is legally described as lots number 3, 4, and 5, block 49, Hancock Addition, south of the railroad, development. Texas. Property ID of the subject property is 10842. The record property owner is Melinda Vega. The current zoning of the property is R4, mobile home district. The zoning classification, if the rezoning is approved, is P1, neighborhood commercial district. And we have a motion to approve. One motion. We have a second. We have a second. Nobody second.
No, can't discuss without a second.
Okay, you seconded, Commissioner Alexis, right?
Yeah, I'll second, so we discuss.
All right, now we can discuss it. I guess we all drove by this property. Wondered why it's zoned R4.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
I can, if you'd like, this goes back to the fact that we don't have a comprehensive plan. In my opinion, I think that Highway 118 South should be C1, but it is not that. But as a future growth plan, I think that is something that we should consider. When I was, addressed about this location, I had told her that it is not zoned, commercial. And that the best way to go about that would be to notify her neighbors to the north of her, which would be adjoining to another commercial in order for her to get them to both rezone together. I don't think that that had been done, but that would have been the best way to do it without it being considered spot zone, because right now I'd have to say, no, this is not a good idea because it's considered spot zone. However, there is a way for her to get to it if she doesn't.
She here, and
I don't know.
it is, yeah, is she here? Is Melinda Vega here?
No.
Melinda Vega is not here. We did get 2 letters.
Yes, and one of them, I sent you a letter, but I just got another one that's signed by additional neighboring property owners. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including, well, 6 would be including the actual, people who wrote the letter. So another 5 signed off on the same letter that I already sent you
In opposition
in opposition of the region.
to reason.
So, if I may, I looked her up on the county records. She also owns another property just off of Murphy. It seemed if you wanted to have an art studio and a business, that being on Murphy Street would make more sense. my hackles suspect this may be another get it rezoned and then sell it. And I can't accuse anybody of doing that, but having been bitten twice now, skeptical. So she's not here. So,
And,
Go ahead, go ahead.
So my next question would have been, what kind of art studio? Because if you look, there is art studio under C1, but there's also art studio under CO, which is for professional work, teaching, or any form of commercial or fine art, photography, music, and drum dance. So why do we have it in both areas? Is C1 for retail and C2 just for holding classes? Or, excuse me, CO just for holding classes, because that is a point of confusion.
I think CO is educational.
Education, but she just said art studio, and she didn't specify which.
We don't know which, they're going to drive by that property. I did, check that out.
and it's, there's a, basically.
Does that
a junk
include-
car lot.
There's a junkyard behind it.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that area, that's included in there, in this property description here. And lastly, looking at our current map, this would be spot zoning. I think,
Do we know why it's done R4 now?
And historically, it was commercial. I mean, it's been known for the other things that were.
At what point did-
Well, we looked into this one as well, and in 2001, the current applicant's parents approached the city council to change it to commercial. The neighbors weren't in agreement, and the council didn't agree with the zoning change, according to what we were able to find.
But it's always been R4.
it was a bar at one time.
It was a bar, but I think that, and to answer your question, I believe yes, from everything I've been able to find within R4. But it was a bar, but, I don't believe that they were actually operating, legally commercial. Yeah.
Which kind of goes back to my original discussion item on R4. Seems like everything that nobody knows what it is, a taxidermy kind of garage looking thing in the middle of the residential, a weird looking building on the side of the road that was a bar or something or whatever, just gets thrown into R4. Everything. If you don't know what it is, it gets thrown into R4.
Well, that side of town, that's where I live. Many R4s, I mean, there's many mobile homes.
But this isn't a mobile home. This
I
is
mean, I
nothing.
understand, it's just the general area,
Yeah,
like zoned, I guess,
taxidermy garage isn't a mobile home.
right?
It's like, if you don't know what it is, you just throw it in R4. That's just my observation.
Well, the taxidermy thing is completely separate because it was literally a garage that they were trying to convert into a business.
But it was a garage,
Yeah, it's just like a garage that you can have on this property in a residential.
or garage listed in R4.
You know, a garage in our,
Is it listed in R4?
Talk about a car garage or a mechanic.
like just like a shop.
A shop.
Yeah, like a little, it's not a primary structure.
So,
Yes, you can have R1, R2 in an R. You can have different types
Right.
of housing in an R.
okay,
That was my question, thank you.
Yeah, this building doesn't ever look like it was actually a house. Or used as a residence, and it's been a while, I think.
it was previously a short-term rental until recently, for maybe 1 to 2 years, it was a
See
short-term
some
rental.
weird cars and stuff out there, when I was at some point, I was like, wait a minute.
Wow. All right, any more statements, and commissioners want to make any statements?
I guess, just to clarify what she said, so this whole area south of Walker Street, except for the kind of, south of the Avenue H, it's all residential,
Yeah, yeah.
even along the main thorough.
No, so Skeleton's Runway is considered C1.
No, I meant south,
Okay,
south. of
so you're looking at, the last block that has C1 would be Aguilar's gas station.
Yeah.
That's the one that's like adjacent.
Yeah, no, I got it, that's 601 South Wall,
The going south,
but going south in there.
It's all residential.
it's all residential.
And on the main thoroughfare, and that's, in your opinion, that's a result of not having comprehensive plan. Well, should we,
Then the city end.
should we, continue it as a,
It's into
No, I don't think so, because we don't, first of all, we don't have an updated map, we don't have a comprehensive plan, and we also have neighbors that don't want it. So, and it's also considered illegal.
They didn't
spot
show up tonight, so.
We have two here,
No, that.
not that.
No, not the.
I shouldn't, that spot something there is, exactly, yeah,
Because that's surrounded by, it doesn't touch any other commercials, it's all, everything it touches.
I could see that area.
no, it actually has an easement onto Walker Street, the main, that's my point, is it's a main thoroughfare.
That's how we want.
I think
I
they
got,
made a good enough thing to remove it, though.
that's if I can finish. It's a main thorough. Can we agree on that? Okay. And it currently is a residential area facing main thoroughfare. So if we leave it as a residential area facing a main thoroughfare, as I just said, then we go at some point in time trying to develop a master plan, this causes us a conflict. We have rezoning.
We'll have to look at that when we get to that point, but right now, the best solution would be is if the northern block, the northern property rezoned with them, and then it wouldn't be considered spot zone. And right now, if you do approve it, you're approving something that's illegal. And not only that, we do not have a comprehensive plan to support the fact that this is what our future plan looks like, therefore it's a no. And my perspective.
The zoning ordinance doesn't touch it.
Right. No, but I'm saying it is on a major thoroughfare, and likelihood of the master plan is saying that that is not going to be a major thoroughfare is highly. unlikely.
So the status of a major thoroughfare like that, is that zone? Are thoroughfares part of a zoning area? Can it be commercial, can it be recreational?
The whole reason that the zoning map exists today is because people thought that this is what future growth development was gonna look like. If you look at it from the 1970s, their map looks completely different than the 2013 looks like. We know that south of county is growing. We know that we have things growing in every direction of us, so our comprehensive plan that we developed from 2024 onward is gonna look different than 2013. Because we know Alpine is gonna grow, and it's gonna look different, the dynamic's gonna change. However, right now, we do not have that, so we cannot support that idea hypothetically. We have to go off of what's in front of us today. And it's not.
Can I ask you a question? So, being the major thoroughfares, I think everybody can agree that maybe commercial would be a good zoning destination for major thoroughfares. If in our comprehensive plan, if we said on the major thoroughfares, it could be commercial, would that limit it? Could you basically limit it in the comprehensive plan? Because my view is if it's changed to commercial, like you could branch off of it, right? Like for this property, it's spot zone, so then you could continue to branch off of it. I'm wondering if we did have a comprehensive plan saying that thoroughfares could be commercial, could it be limited only to?
Immediate access.
And that's why the C0 was designed too, is to protect residential.
of the major thoroughfares.
And C0 is not being utilized enough, and that's why that was one of the things that I wanted when we do go over our comprehensive plan is C0 is used as like a buffer. So you've got high density traffic, a lot of things that are traveling through, and then you use C0 as a buffer between the high density traffic with the residential. So it slows down the traffic into your neighborhood. And that's how C0 should be utilized in our zoning map, but it's not.
But it's not, right now, this would be spot zone.
Yeah, it's about zoning, yes.
Which of course, there's not a lot.
I mean, I can agree with Commissioner Griffith that technically, it would make sense, but maybe if we had a comprehensive plan, it would prohibit it from going further. And at this point, if we change it, is it,
It's premature.
yeah, if it's changed prematurely, can people kind of piggyback off that?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for that to be commercial, but it's not now. Right. And that's R4, so we're not changing that right now, tonight. So, I think, and we'll take a vote on in a minute, I don't think this is something we can approve. But, I'm gonna make the motion. The vote,
You're gonna take the
we're
vote.
gonna take the vote now. Are there any ayes? There are no ayes. Are there any nays? Nays are unanimous. Motion denied. Okay, Steve, approve recommendation of city council to approve proposed ordinance amending annexation. A process and the procedures of, to this Alpine Code of Ordinances, amending chapter 9, annexation, providing additional requirements of annexation of subject property, amending NC, zoning to remove the requirements that properties be designated R1 upon annexation, and providing the city council may establish zoning designations upon annexation subject to the property. Megan is not here.
I can speak to
To
it.
me, that makes sense. Go ahead.
I can speak to the ordinance, so we just, yeah.
Where you can discuss.
Make a motion.
Fine.
Any second?
I second.
Okay, Gio.
Alrighty, so Megan and I have identified some issues with the annexation process, and with the zoning process, and we are trying to implement things that will streamline. It would make it easier for future leaders and future councils and commissions and things of that nature to get things done the right way. So, after the Dollar General incident where Dollar General came in, we had some feedback that requested that we send letters to property owners within 200 feet, when a property will be annexed into the city limits. The council, decided to go with that, so that's how this chapter came about, annexation. In addition, we've had issues with properties whenever they're annexed, basically not being designated into a ward, which has caused issues because we have voters living in a ward, they're annexed into the city and they're never put on the voter rolls. So they can't run for council, which is their right, and they can't vote for council, which is their right. So this draft ordinance would basically set some procedures in place. It would basically say that the ward would be designated when the property is annexed. It would also require that the annexation map be updated immediately after an annexation is passed. And that the map references the number, that it'll be available in the city secretary's office and posted on the website. And that we will notify the comptroller and the Brewster County Appraisal District. Because we recently found out we lost out on property tax for years for the Skyway Gardens development. Because these processes weren't in place and because that annexation was never sent to the county appraisal district upon approval. So in addition, the current ordinance does require that upon annexation, all property is annexed as R1. And it would require that basically you have a property annex, if the annexed is R1, and then the property owner would have to go through the rezoning process. Well, we don't agree with that just because we feel like it really prohibits, or how do you say, stifles growth, because it's really a risk on a property owner. They annex into the city and they can't even have assurance that they're gonna be able to do the project they want because it's gonna be rezoned or annexed as R1. So this would remove that requirement as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
And does it limit, the categories of zoning that you can bring it into the city with an annex?
No, it states basically the way that we've worded it, it states that upon annexation, the council would designate or classify the property to whatever appropriate designation it should be.
But you can't create new zones, I mean, the new categories. You-
No, that would have to be done by ordinance and the zoning ordinance.
Okay, any comment?
I think it's a great idea.
I can go down, I'll make a motion to approve. What?
It's already, yeah. Motion on table.
Just a motion on the table to vote, or aye? Okay. Sorry,
Aye.
it's almost unanimous, now it is. I got a lazy one. Okay, and item D, moving on, approve approve a recommendation of city council to approve a proposed ordinance amending appendix C zoning to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, amending the provisions that provides the ability for the city council or the planning and zoning commission to initiate a spot zoning or non-contiguous zoning designation.
Diane.
We have a motion?
Aye.
Second? Jessica?
So this was brought up to me with the last few rezonings that had happened. We found a loophole in the ordinance showing that you can be recommended by council to do the spot zone, which we know is illegal. So I found the ordinance where it stated that, and I wanted to remove it. I don't know why it was ever edited in 2016, because it makes no sense that it would be even an option to remove. Yeah, well, I can come up with this, somebody was trying to do somebody a favor, I'm not. For me, I don't understand why it exists. And so for, Gio had submitted the proposal, and this is just a recommendation that also that was not edited on there was, the fee that is on there, needs to change from 250 to 350, because that's how much a special use conditional use permit costs right now. And I don't know when it's edited. So that was also a suggestion that, possibly you guys could do for council, with that edit, since we're gonna be editing that anyways, if you guys agree upon it. But pretty much removing, the option for it to be bypassed through council or a spot zoning to happen.
And the city council might not approve it, but,
No, I mean, if you see some problem, you gotta ask the big.
Right. So my question would be, if it's against the law, I get that, and I understand the core conditions. But if we take it out, there are situations where spot zoning makes sense. They're rare, I agree with that. But if we take it out, how do you initiate a spot zone that actually makes sense and meets all?
So be like a variance or a grievance you file? No, I mean, I don't know what, like, well, give me an example where you need a spot zone.
Well,
Well, we just approved one last month.
Well,
Well-
this is not taking away their opportunity to do that. It's taking away the right, the ability for someone in planning and zoning and,
for the city council,
and the city council to put that in for a certain someone.
without requesting the public.
Right. It's bypassing addressing the
that was
public.
a planning.
What they would have to do is actually put the request in the public. Somebody can
I understand that. My question, my point is, if we take it out, there truly is a valid reason for doing it. How do we do it?
You're gonna get somebody from the city to,
So you would do an ordinary variance?
I don't think that there's a reason for spot zoning.
but somebody.
I don't think it's, I don't think it's, if you go by, so mainly anything that's gonna be annexed with what was just considered, that's pretty much what would only be considered spot zone in the sense that it wouldn't be adjacent to something. So let's say like how Skyway Gardens was put in and it was annexed and you annexed it as an R3. It would be technically considered spot zoning, but it's on the exterior. It would be considered by council as something that is needed by the city. So that's something that's needed is more housing inside city limits. But to spot zone inside, putting a commercial inside of residential that's the most likely spot zoning that's gonna happen, because if you look at the overall zoning map, and then what we do when we do that is we did a count, a few months ago, 6 months ago, I don't know, yesterday, I can't remember. But it was, we had 30 something vacant, probably more now, commercial district, like the commercial building downtown. So we're pulling away a downtown district and putting them into residential areas.
Have you priced the rents on those buildings? That's why they're in.
It doesn't matter, we're gonna kill our downtown. You want tourism, but you're gonna have to be in those
Killing
buildings.
themselves, and if they can't stop it, once again, we're not setting the rents.
But I'm just saying, I don't see where spot zoning would benefit.
What about a clinic?
Get back on topic, let's get back on topic.
Well, that's,
She
she
said,
said, ask for an example, a healthcare clinic in poor neighborhood.
So I did put, the edit that I added to you guys in your packet that today was, the only time that, non-contiguous zoning is if a C0 is buffered up to a residential and commercial district.
Which would answer what God
Yeah,
is
the answer to your question.
that would answer his question.
Yeah.
If you needed to put a
Clinic, yes.
clinic in a poor neighborhood, then that's
Maybe
not
a C-
spot
maybe
zoning,
a
that is
C0.
required.
And I added that too, and that's my suggestion, it wasn't edited with what I gave to Geo, because that's the only time I could see it being an issue.
What she's doing, she's taking away the, carte blanche of somebody who happens to be the city council or planning and zoning to help a buddy out and push something
Yeah,
through.
this doesn't
And
stop
that's all
anybody in
this
the
takes
public
away.
from
That's
requesting,
all this
they can
is.
request
Yeah,
all.
I don't know if you got that, did you see that? Yeah. Yeah, so that was the main thing that because I can see where you're gonna need something buffering in between that sort of C0, like, it should be applied. It'd be low density, the only reason you would have a business like that would be a clinic, and for educational reasons, for something like that fits in that C0 category. Yeah.
This does not stop anybody from the public from requesting, putting in the motion, or putting in the request.
They hadn't stopped the public, it just stopped city council.
City council and planning and zoning.
All right.
But let me ask you this, if the public submits a request for spot zoning, that request would be denied and it wouldn't have, right? Like, you get, say, I submit an application, I'm in a residential neighborhood and I want to be commercial. I take an application to you, would you deny that request?
Yeah, if it meets those 4 criteria.
If it meets,
I'm just wondering, I just wanted to provide that.
let's
clarification.
say you
Well,
want
let's
to open
just
up.
get the answer.
I would explain to them that it's possible that it would be denied, but at the same time,
So you would put it through and it would still be considered regardless that it's
because
possible.
they have the opportunity for their neighbors to make a decision, but technically it'd be considered illegal.
I'd also like to add that getting rid of this brings those people to building services to ask the correct people the right questions and the different options,
Exactly.
opposed to going to someone who knows nothing about this. And it keeps it unbiased because she's gonna give them pros and cons.
I agree, I mean, I
Sides.
agree with the change. I just wanted to provide the
Yeah.
clarification because they're asking, okay, but if a citizen requests it,
If it's
is that true? If a citizen submits a request to spot zone, are you gonna deny them or are you gonna put that through once they pay the fee?
Well, before they pay the fee, I'd make sure that they understood what they're asking for.
Okay, so let's,
So it would go.
But you're not gonna stop it. You know.
so here's a scenario, I'm a physician, I found a strip and I want to, it's zoned R4. It's maybe a lot or something, I wanna open up a, clinic to help, people within the area. Then I come to you and I say, can I put that through as, a public person just saying, I want to ask for this to go from R4 to CF? Would they be able to bring that in front of us and let us look at it in our map and see, would that work? Does it meet those 4 criteria?
Yeah, because of the edited C0.
And that's all I'm clarifying.
But isn't a C0 has to be up against a commercial?
And residential.
So it could be against a residential as well. It doesn't have to be against just commercial.
Can be commercial or residential.
Okay.
It's a buffer.
I'm just laughing because that actually did happen for us. And it took us a couple of months, and that's when I decided I wanted to volunteer until city council, actually the mayor, had to intervene after a couple of months that we went from one to another group. And I think a lot of the changes in there was due to try to bring the clinics into the correct zoning.
All right, any more comments from? All right, take a vote.
And really quickly, I just want the commission to clarify, you do want to add the provision that Jessica provided to you, right? As far as the CO,
Yes.
and then you do want to recommend the increased fee to $350.
Yes.
Okay.
We actually haven't approved it. Well, I guess we did vote.
We haven't voted yet.
Yeah, we did do a motion.
Okay. We were just discussing, now we're gonna take the vote. Vote to approve, aye. Aye.
With the amendments you just discussed out.
All right, 7, board member comments.
Bye, Daniel.
Yeah. I'm here to say, I am.
Well, I think it was a very successful meeting. We really keep learning a lot about Wisconsin. But it'll be my pleasure to work with all of you, and I'm sorry for leaving my life meeting.
Now you're moving on to. Big board.
Time, city council.
Yeah.
You're waiting. Don't leave
Big motion to
me.
adjourn.
You can.
All right,
Well, I'm concerned now that we're 3 vacancies. With 3 vacancies, we may have a difficult time getting more.
So we currently,
I'll bring my application tomorrow. I wanted to see what it was because if I,
That's why. So
we currently have 3 incoming members, so it's really not a good time for us to fill it until they're seated. Because it's gonna be their prerogative to put who they want.
I just wanted to make sure somebody was trying to fill. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure once they're on
I will
the request.
I will try to get somebody for one too.
Yes. For the next meeting.
No worries.
6:49, we stand adjourned. All right.
All right, and Heather wants a picture, yes, please, come on, vecina, ven a tomar la foto. Yo te la tomo.